Let me ask you something straight from the heart. How many times have you told yourself, I'm just not talented enough? How many dreams have you quietly buried because you believed someone else was born with something you weren't? Listen to me carefully, because this may be the most liberating truth you ever hear. Talent will get you noticed once, but consistency will take you everywhere. I've spent decades studying human performance, sitting with world champions, billionaires, artists, leaders, and everyday people who turned ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. And here's what I've learned. It's almost never the most talented person who wins. It's the one who shows up when it's boring, when it's uncomfortable, when nobody is clapping, when progress feels invisible. Talent is potential. Consistency is power. Talent is what you start with. Consistency is what you build with. Think about it. Talent is exciting at the beginning. It feels good. It gives you quick wins. People praise you. But the moment it gets hard, the moment discipline is required, the moment the honeymoon is over, talent alone starts to crumble. Because talent doesn't teach you how to persist. Consistency does. Consistency is waking up when you don't feel like it. It's doing the work when motivation is gone. It's keeping your word to yourself when no one is watching. And most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they don't trust the process long enough for results to show up. You see, the world doesn't reward intensity once in a while. It rewards reliability. It rewards the person who keeps moving forward inch by inch, day by day, even when the mind screams, this isn't working. Because what you're really building through consistency isn't just skill. You're building identity. Every time you show up, you send a message to your nervous system. This is who I am. I'm the kind of person who follows through. I'm the kind of person who doesn't quit. I'm the kind of person who honors commitments. And once that identity locks in, results become inevitable. Talent wants shortcuts. Consistency understands timing. Talent looks for inspiration. Consistency creates momentum. Talent says, I'll do it when I feel ready. Consistency says, I'll do it because I said I would. And here's the part nobody tells you. Consistency doesn't feel heroic. It feels repetitive. It feels lonely, feels slow. But that's exactly why it works. Because while others are chasing breakthroughs, you're building foundations. While others are waiting for confidence, you're earning it. Confidence doesn't come from thinking, it comes from proof. And proof only comes from repeated action. You don't need more talent. You don't need more intelligence. You don't need a perfect plan. What you need is to stop negotiating with your excuses and start honoring your standards. Because standards shape destiny. Ask yourself, what if you didn't need to be exceptional today? What if you just needed to be consistent? What if instead of trying to change your entire life, you simply committed to one small action done daily, no matter what? That's how revolutions begin, not with explosions, but with habits. Consistency compounds. Just like interest in a bank account, the results start small, almost invisible. But over time, they become unstoppable. People will look at your success and call it luck. They'll say you're gifted. They'll say you're talented. But you'll know the truth. You'll know it was built in silence through discipline, through repetition, through days you didn't feel like it, but did it anyway. And let me tell you something personal. Your future doesn't care how talented you are. It cares how committed you are. Life rewards those who prove they can be trusted with more by doing something with what they already have. So don't underestimate the power of showing up again tomorrow. Don't discount the value of one more rep, one more page, one more conversation, one more attempt. Because consistency doesn't just beat talent. It humiliates in overtime. And one day, sooner than you think, you'll look back and realize you didn't become successful because you were special. You became successful because you were consistent. Every action you repeat is not just something you do. It is a vote for the person you are becoming. Most people think consistency is about results, but consistency is really about identity. Long before it changes your bank account, your body, or your relationships, it changes how you see yourself. And the moment your identity shifts, Your destiny begins to rearrange itself around that new standard. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of who you believe you are. If deep down you see yourself as someone who starts but doesn't finish, someone who gets excited and then fades, someone who needs motivation to move, your life will always reflect that identity. Not because you're broken, but because identity is powerful. You will always act in alignment with who you think you are, even when it hurts you. Consistency is how you rewrite that identity. Every time you show up when it's uncomfortable, every time you do the work when no one is watching, you are casting a new vote. You are telling your nervous system, this is who I am now. I am someone who follows through. I am someone who keeps promises to myself. I am someone who does not need to feel good to do what's right. At first, it feels fake. At first, your old identity fights back. Your mind will say, this isn't you, you've tried before, you always quit. But consistency doesn't argue with the mind. It proves it wrong through behavior. And the mind eventually submits to evidence. When you show up again and again, the story changes. Not because you forced positive thinking, but because you created undeniable proof. Identity is not formed in big dramatic moments. It's formed in small, boring decisions repeated over time. The days when you don't feel inspired. The days when progress is invisible. The days when quitting would be easier and no one would blame you. Those are the days that shape who you become. Because destiny is not decided in moments of intensity. It's decided in moments of choice. Most people are trying to change their lives by chasing outcomes. They want more money, more confidence, more success, more recognition. But outcomes are downstream. Identity is upstream. When you become the kind of person who trains daily, the body changes. When you become the kind of person who learns daily, opportunities change. When you become the kind of person who speaks honestly and acts with integrity, what relationships change. Consistency is the bridge between intention and an identity. It closes the gap between who you want to be and who you are practicing being every day. And once identity locks in, behavior becomes automatic. You don't need willpower to do what aligns with who you believe you are. You don't negotiate. You don't hesitate. You act. This is why consistency is so threatening to the old version of you, because it slowly kills the excuses you've been using to survive. It removes the option of blaming circumstances. It takes away the comfort of saying someday. And the ego resists that because the ego likes familiarity, even when familiarity is painful. But here's the truth most people never realize. You are already consistent. You're just consistent with habits, thoughts, and behaviors that reinforce an identity you no longer want. Consistency is not your problem. Direction is. When you redirect consistency toward actions that match your highest standards, everything begins to change. Identity determines what you tolerate. It determines what you pursue. It determines what you walk away from. A person who identifies as disciplined doesn't argue with laziness. A person who identifies as committed doesn't flirt with excuses. A person who identifies as resilient doesn't collapse at resistance. They don't rely on motivation. They rely on who they are. And identity shapes destiny because destiny is nothing more than the long-term result of repeated choices. What you do daily becomes what you do automatically. What you do automatically becomes your lifestyle, and your lifestyle becomes your future. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You need to choose one behavior that aligns with the person you want to become and repeat it until it feels normal, until it feels like you, until not doing it feels strange. That's when identity has shifted. That's when destiny starts responding. People will think you changed suddenly, but you'll know the truth. You'll know it was built quietly, through repetition, through discipline, through moments where no one was cheering and no one was validating you. And the most powerful part is this. Once you become someone who trusts yourself, who knows you will show up no matter what, you stop living in fear of failure. Because even if you fall, you know who you are. You are the kind of person who gets back up, who recommits, who continues, who doesn't abandon themselves at the first sign of discomfort. Who understands that consistency is not about perfection, it's about persistence, and persistence is the language destiny understands. Talent may open the door, but it never decides how far you walk through it. The world loves to celebrate talent because it looks impressive, because it feels rare, because it gives the illusion of destiny without effort. But talent is just a starting position. It's the spark, not the fire. And too many people confuse being gifted with being guaranteed. Talent can make the beginning feel easy. It can make early wins come fast. It can make people applaud you before you've paid the price. But that early praise can become dangerous because it teaches you to rely on what came naturally instead of what must be earned. And the moment the challenge demands discipline instead of ability, talent starts looking for exits. Consistency is what stays when excitement fades. Consistency is what shows up when progress slows down, when feedback is missing, when results don't match effort yet. That's where most talented people stop, because they were never forced to develop the muscle of persistence. They never learned how to work without reward. The finish line doesn't care about your potential. It doesn't care how gifted you were at the start. It only responds to who kept moving forward when the race stopped being glamorous. Life is not impressed by what you could do. Life responds to what you repeatedly do. Talent loves comfort. It loves environments where it can shine without resistance. Consistency thrives in resistance. It grows stronger when things are heavy, slow, and uncomfortable. And over time, consistency doesn't just catch up to talent, it surpasses it. Because skill compounded beats ability untrained. You've seen this play out over and over. The most talented student doesn't always become the most successful. The most gifted athlete doesn't always win championships. The smartest person in the room doesn't always lead the room. The one who finishes is the one who kept going long after motivation disappeared. Consistency builds stamina. It builds patience. It builds emotional control. It teaches you how to function even when you doubt yourself. And that's what separates starters from finishers. Starters rely on feeling good. Finishers rely on standards. Talent asks, do I feel inspired today? Consistency asks, did I make a commitment? Talent says, this should be easier. Consistency says, difficulty is part of the process. Talent looks for validation. Consistency creates self-respect. The finish line is not a single moment. It's a mindset. It belongs to the person who refused to quit on ordinary days. The days when nothing dramatic happened. The days when no one noticed. The days when quitting would have been understandable. Those are the days that decide outcomes. Consistency trains your nervous system to stay calm under pressure. It trains your mind to stay focused when emotions fluctuate. It trains your body to perform even when energy is low. Talent doesn't do that. Talent often collapses under pressure because it was never trained to endure. This is why consistency always decides who finishes. Because finishing requires more than skill. It requires tolerance for boredom. It requires humility. It requires the willingness to look average for a long time while you are becoming exceptional. And most people can't handle that stage. Talent wants results now. Consistency understands delayed gratification. Talent gets frustrated when effort doesn't immediately pay off. Consistency trusts accumulation. Every repetition, every attempt, every failure absorbed and learned from builds an edge that talent alone can't replicate. The finish line favors those who adapt, those who adjust, those who stay in the game long enough to learn what works. Talent often refuses to adapt because it is attached to identity. Consistency is flexible because it is attached to progress. When setbacks come, talent feels insulted. Consistency feels informed. When failure hits, talent takes it personally. Consistency takes notes. That's why consistency lasts. It doesn't need to protect its ego. It is focused on forward motion. Finishing is about endurance of belief. Belief in the process. Belief in yourself when evidence is still forming. Belief that what you are building will eventually show. And belief like that is not born from talent. It is forged through repetition. Consistency teaches you how to recover, how to restart, how to recommit after a bad day instead of letting one mistake turn into a full stop. Talent doesn't teach recovery. It often avoids failure altogether, which means it never learns resilience. The finish line belongs to the person who kept choosing effort over excuse, discipline over distraction, long-term growth over short-term comfort. Not because they were the most gifted, but because they were the most reliable. And over time, something powerful happens. Consistency turns into mastery. What once felt hard becomes natural. What once required effort becomes instinct. And people start calling you talented, not realizing they are witnessing the compound effect of thousands of small choices made when no one was watching. Talent may get you noticed at the start, but only consistency earns the right to finish, because finishing is not about how you begin, it is about who you become while you keep going.